completely confused. I remember.
27th of December, Rabbi Levitt, Daniel.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Rabbi. How are you?
Right. Um, oh, I'm not late, but I'm sorry if I was late.
We're here. It's okay. Everybody's so
So we are, you want to probably know where we're holding over here.
don't worry.
We're in the middle of this give and take with Nebuchadnezzar and his sages, and so now that in Pasuk, it's in the bottom, it's in the bottom of page 10. Nebuchadnezzar told him that he doesn't remember the dream, and so they got to tell him what the dream was that he dreamt, because he can't tell them, and also you got to tell me what it means, and if you do, it's going to be good for you. You're going to get great rewards and gifts and honor. But if you don't, oy vavoy,
Are you in trouble?
you are in big trouble. And what do they say back to him? They say, you know, it's hard to detect the difference in the Aramaic, but the Malbim on the bottom of page 12 in note 7 on verse 7 says that what they're asking him is that when he does remember, so he should tell them what the dream is. He'll tell them the dream in the future when he remembers it, and then they'll be happy to help him out. But they can't do anything for him now. They didn't say that, but that's the obvious implication of what they're saying according to the Malbim. And then he answers back very sharply, and we're not sure exactly what it is that he's saying. Even the English is not so easy to understand what he's saying, but he's not so happy. So we're right now going to start reading the notes from verse 8. And Alan is reading the notes.
I know for certainty, I know that your repeated requests that I tell you the dream are only a ruse. You want to be sure that I will not ultimately contradict your version of my dream. Therefore, you repeatedly asked me to tell you the dream, forcing me to declare again and again that I've forgotten it, so that I will not be able to say later that I indeed remember it. They were buying time, i.e., you were stalling for time. The translation follows Ibn Ezra Malbim, Rashi, and Radak render it that at this time you were sentenced to death. All Kemel D Son D Arudoa B Milchor, because you have seen that the matter is firmly established by me. Translation follows Ben Ezra, who interprets his verse in the following way. I know for a fact that you quiet time you have seen the word has gone forth, been issued for me that if you do not tell me the dream. Rashi answers first, the sages are being sentenced not for their inability to tell the king the dream, but for their instance that he revealed the dream to them. Had they initially told the king that they were unable to fulfill his demand, they may have been executed, but they angered him by repeating the demand. Tihain, Kamua, law, that if you do not make the dream known to me, do not expect any clemency because of your.
Okay, Alan, that's already, we didn't learn that yet. Okay, Thank you. We're going to do Pasuk test right now. Okay. Up to Mayor. Pasuk test.
Okay, let's see. It says, Dihin Chelma La Tichod Unani Chadahi Datchon Umila Kidvar
Wow.
Kidvar Ushchita Chiz Demin Tun Lememar Kadamai Adi Idana Ishtane Lahen Chelma Emaru Li Inda Di Pishre Techachavunani. Wow, that must be Aramaic.
Yeah, it's not wow.
Okay, so it translates, let's see, that if you do not make the dream known to me, your sentence is unequivocal. Unequivocal. Okay. Thus you have arranged lying and corrupt words to speak before me until the time changes. Just tell me the dream, and then I will know that you can relate its interpretation to me.
Okay, so they're not communicating.
Yeah.
These two sides. They keep telling him that they. I mean, he doesn't get it. He suspects them of trying to knock him down. It's very difficult over here. He keeps insisting that they tell him what the dream was that he dreamt, and they don't want to say, and they, for some reason, they don't want to say that they're not capable of doing that. And Alan read the note before that Rashi points out that they're not so bright, these men, and they must be very arrogant and haughty as well. Why don't they just say they can't do that? And the king will say, "Oh, okay, so listen, whatever, you're off the hook." But like this, it gets getting him angry. They keep telling him, tell us the dream, Your Highness, tell us the dream." And he's saying he forgot it. He's getting frustrated because he forgot the dream, and he's getting angry at them. And why are they saying these things to him? It's hard to. It's they're supposed to be wise men. And he doesn't let up. He says that it must be that they know how to. They must be they know to tell me what the dream was that I dreamt. So they're he's getting angry at them. Okay.
That he expects them to have it within their powers to divine what the dream was,
Yeah.
and they don't want to admit that they can't do that.
That's what Alan read that from the Rashi. Rashi adds to this verse right before the verse 9. It says Rashi adds to this verse.
So I would say that they're not stupid, because they're trying to protect their positions. They don't want to reveal that they don't have certain powers, which they're trying to pretend they have.
Well, not only is that arrogant, but in this case, it's not working very well. That's one of the midas of a chacham that it says in Avos. The midah of a chacham, that when he does something he doesn't know, somebody asks him something, does he know? What does he say? He says, "I don't know." but they're not real chachamim. Okay.
Well, there's a story um, about Socrates that the oracle said that Socrates was the wisest man, and he was surprised at that. He didn't think of himself as being necessarily so wise. So he decided, let me go to some of the people that I think are more wise than me and see if I can figure out what's going on.
Hmm.
So he went one by one to these people, and he found out that just what you said, they didn't have the midah. When he asked them something they didn't know, they didn't admit it. They tried to pretend they knew it. And so the reason that his conclusion was the reason that these people had a reputation of being so wise was because they pretended to be wise, but not because they were really wise.
Huh. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Let's read the notes to verse 9. Mayor, since you read verse 9, you could read the notes.
Okay, will do. Just bear with me one second.
That's the reward for breaking your teeth on the Aramaic.
Okay. Well, I'm going back to the Aramaic. It looks like Dihain Helma La Tehod Unani. Okay. That if you do not make the dream known to me, do not expect any clemency because of your proposal to tell me the interpretation without the dream. If you do not make the dream known to me, there is only one sentence, the Malbim. Okay. Chadahi datchon. Your sentence is unequivocal. Unequivocal. A similar expression is found in Esther. No exception will be made to the rule, and no clemency will be granted. And umila kidva ushchita chiz damnatun, that you have arranged lying and corrupt words. Even Ezra and others understand this phrase to be a new accusation. You are prepared to talk and stall until the time changes and I occupy myself with other matters and forget about the dream. According to Rashi, this phrase is part of the sentence being pronounced upon the sages. Whether they desist from telling the dream at all, or they manufacture a false version, the sentence is the same, a horrible death.
Okay. First, Pasuk Yud, go to Lu.
Okay, good. 10. Let's see. Ano kas da a kadam malka ve'amrin la isai anash al yabeshta di mital malka yuchal lahachavaya kol kavel di kol melech rav vishalit milah kidna la she'el l'chol chartom v'asher v'ashaf v'chasda. Okay, so the Chaldeans responded before the king and said, there is no man on earth who can relate the king's matter. That is why no king, leader, or ruler has ever requested such a thing of any necromancer or astrologer or Chaldean.
Hey, vey. I don't know. I'll tell you what I think. Finally their will to live is overpowering their tremendous arrogance and haughtiness, and they see they have no alternative to save their lives other than to appeal to the truth and say, you know, your king, we cannot do that. We can't do it. And but then for some reason they say something that if I were the king, I would be very angry that they said that. What do they say? They say, you know, Your Highness, there hasn't been a king in history that has ever asked such a thing of his necromancers. Like they're accusing him of asking a foolish thing. What do you think he's going to say to that? What are they? I don't know where they're coming from. Not only are they arrogant and haughty, they're also not so smart. Okay.
I think they're trying to protect themselves.
Yeah, but it's a little bit too late to be humble, you know, especially if you're going to insult the king and tell him he's asking he's asking something that no one ever asked before.
I don't think they're being humble, Rabbi. I think it's the opposite. They're saying to the king, don't judge us unfavorably because what you're asking is unreasonable. It's not our fault we don't know how to do this. Nobody could do it. And no king has ever asked anybody to do it.
Okay. Let's see how he responds to this.
You want me to read the commentary?
Yeah.
There is no man. Our refusal to answer your request does not reflect any evil intent on our part. Your request is impossible to fulfill, according to the Ashlich, the Al-Sheikh.
Okay. Let's take a look at the next. Really, the next pasuk is the continuation of their speech of the Chaldeans, the king's advisors. Roy, please, pasuk Yud Aleph.
Umilsa di Malka She'el Yakira V'acharon Lo Irsai D Irsai D Yehuna Kodom Malka Lahain Elohim D Medora Khan Im Bisra Al Isahi. Verse 11, and the matter that the king asked is difficult, and there's no other who can tell it before the king but the angels, whose dwelling is not with people. So there. I don't think so there is in there.
Why did they not say this originally?
They were trying to bluff.
They didn't want to admit that they didn't know.
Right.
They know that they're willing to admit that angels are a higher form of life than they are. And they just occur to them, I think, probably, to use the angels as an excuse. And you
Well,
can't verify it.
they're defending themselves. They're saying it's not because of our uh, uh, incompetence. There's no human. Only an angel would be able to know to answer.
Right.
So they're
Mhm.
okay. Let's see. There's a lot of notes over here on verse 11. Oh, okay. So okay. So that's what they're saying. There's Acharon lo Isai. There is no other. Nobody else can say tell the king what he dreamt. What the king is asking is beyond human capacity, requires the gift of prophecy, which we never claimed to possess. Seeming redundancy of this phrase. In verse 10, they already said this. They've already repeated this in the previous thing that they said. They already said there's no man on earth who can relate the king's matter. So what more do they need to, why do they need to talk about Malachim? Indicates that there's more is hinted in this verse than the simple meaning. Oh, okay.
Oh, huh.
So the Medrash is going to reveal to us what went on, I guess. So they're bringing from Parshas Miketz. Interesting. That's this week's Parsha. And Aaron, substituting hay for ches, is not here. There is now no high priest wearing the Urim Betumim to tell you your dream. That's what it says in Medrash Tanhuma. Okay, let's just keep reading. I'm not sure exactly what maybe they're talking about the word Achron, lo Isai. Those are the words from this pasuk, Acharon lo Isai, which means there's not another one, but the Tanhuma is switching around the ches for a hey and saying that Aaron is not here. We don't. There's no Kohen Gadol who wears the Urim Betumim that you could just consult, and the Urim Betumim will reveal to you what the dream was. And they furthermore say the Chaldeans said only when Hashem dwells among people is it possible to fulfill your request. In other words, this word in the pasuk, it doesn't say malach in the pasuk. It says Elohim, which is not referring to Hashem. At least that's not the way we're translating it according to its simple understanding, because a malach can also be called Elohim. We have examples of that in the Chumash. So the Tanhuma is saying that that it's actually referring to Hashem. when Hashem will dwell among people, then it'll be possible to fulfill your request. And that with that, we can understand what they said in the beginning of the note, that what the king is asking requires a person to be a prophet. And we don't have that. So, okay, so that's what they were saying. And then Nebuchadnezzar says, so ask of him with a capital H. And they answered, I was talking about the Chaldeans, his dwelling is not with people. Since his temple was destroyed, his presence does not rest amongst us. Because we're talking after Nebuchadnezzar himself was the one that was mainly responsible for destroying the first temple. Actually, I shouldn't say that because we learned in Nefesh HaChaim, Nebuchadnezzar didn't really actually do anything. He ground up wheat that was already finely ground. He did absolutely nothing except to take down a building, but he didn't remove the divine presence from the from Harabias. That was already taken care of by the sins of the Jewish people. So then the king said to them, so great was the power of that temple, and yet you advised me to destroy it? Oh. And then the Medrash concludes, the king then flew into a rage and had them put to death. And that was the end of his advisors. Okay. The next note says Elohim, translates it as angels. That translation follows Rashi. That's what Rashi says right here on this pasuk. Right. And the next comment, whose dwelling is not with human beings. The Babylonians believed that there were two categories of angels: those who mingled with men, whose dwelling is with people. They were the lower category. But to know thoughts present in a person's mind, that was beyond the scope of human beings. It would not be too difficult for these angels. And he quotes a Tosfos in Shabbos. However, to relate a dream that no human has any recollection of would be impossible even for these angels. So that would require the power of angels of the higher category. And that is the category of angels whose dwelling is not with people. So that's a very interesting Tosus. Okay. Okay, so according to the Medrash, that's the that'll be the conclusion of those sages. Okay. And what do we have for time? Got 4 minutes. Okay, so let's go to the next pasuk. The next pasuk is pasuk Yud Beis. On the top of page 14, we call upon Alan to read pasuk Yud Beis. Oh, Alan is not there. I don't have my screen
Oh,
actually.
his mic is off.
Okay.
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 Call Kobe, the normal core, Manas Uka, Save, Sagor, Saki, Ma'amar, Door, Chavi
Hakime Bovel.
Borvel, Bedonor, Nefer Kas, Bahaki Mayor, Misa Kat, Len, Lee, O, Dornell, Rochi, Vahisa Torah. As a result of this, the king grew upset and very angry, and he commanded to destroy all the sages of Babylonia. As a decree was being implemented and the riot of men slain, Daniel and his companions were sought to be slain. Adin Doniel by Masiv
Okay, that's already two psukim. Let's take a look at the notes from verse 12.
Oh.
Any time left, by the way?
Little bit, 2 minutes.
Okay, so let's read just the notes for Pasuk Yud Beis, verse 12. So okay, so he became upset and very angry, it says. And all the sages of Babel, in his great anger, he failed to differentiate between the necromancers, astrologers, sorcerers, and between other sages who had nothing to do with the dream interpretation. There was other sages as well, naturalists, engineers, diplomats. Thus, Daniel and his companions were also to be killed, even though they had not even a chance to tell the king the dream itself. And the Chaldeans had admitted, yeah, they really got him angry, didn't they? The Chaldeans had admitted that the king's request required the power of prophecy, which had been curtailed as a consequence of the destruction of the temple. Therefore, the king held all the sages of Babel accountable. Why? Because all of them had approved of the plan to destroy the temple, some overtly and others covertly, by not advising the king against this step. So says the Alshich. So that's according to the Medrash Tanchuma, that reveals to us that was the conversation, the give and take that went back and forth. Okay, very good. So we're up to Yud Gimel.
Good. Yeshkayach.
Freilich and Chanukah.
Hanukkah Sameach, everybody.
Good Shabbos and
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos and Freilich and Hanukkah to all.
Have a good Shabbos and happy Hanukkah.
Bye.
Amen.
Thank you.
All the best, Alan.
Okay, you have a wonderful day and wonderful Shabbos.
Amen. You too. And a good Shabbos. All the best, Lou. All the best, Bayer.
Okay.